Got it? I'll craft this as a dramatic first-person redemption story in the tone of Revenge Realm asterisk, emotionally charged, concise yet vivid, and ending with a cathartic return. Here's your story. Asterisk, they said I was an embarrassment. I still remember the dinner table that night, the heavy silence broken only by the clink of silverware. My father's voice cut through it like a blade. So, you're really quitting your job to make video games? He didn't even try to hide the smirk. My mother sighed, shaking her head. We raised you better than this. You're throwing away stability for some childish fantasy. My older sister laughed outright. God, imagine telling people our brother makes cartoon games for a living. That's humiliating. Every word felt like a slap. My dream, something I'd nurtured since childhood, was now a punchline. I tried to explain, to tell them I'd been working nights on my prototype, that I'd found investors willing to listen. But they didn't hear me, they didn't want to. When I left the table, my father muttered just loud enough for me to hear. He'll be back in a year, broke, asking for help. That night I lay in my childhood bed staring at the ceiling, my chest burning. I knew if I stayed, I'd drown in their doubt, so I left. The first year was hell. I lived in a cramped apartment with peeling paint and a bathroom sink that leaked constantly. I worked part-time at a grocery store to cover rent and spent every other waking hour coding, drawing, designing alone, fueled by instant noodles and coffee. There were weeks when nothing worked, when bugs in the game's code made me feel like I was clawing at a wall that would never break. There were months when I couldn't afford heat and worked in 3 layers of sweaters. But every small victory kept me alive. The first time a stranger commented on my game's demo online, saying it made them feel something, I cried, quietly alone so no one would see. 2 years in, I launched my first game. It didn't explode, but it sold enough to keep me going. I learned, adapted, built something better. 3 years in, my second game went viral, streamers played it, kids posted fan art, and within months I was making more money than I'd ever imagined. Suddenly my inbox was full, publishers, interviews, invitations. My company grew from just me to a small team. I was on magazine covers, spoken about in industry panels. But the success wasn't the best part. The best part was knowing I had done this without them, without their approval, without their help. I didn't speak to my family for years, not out of hate but because I needed the distance. I needed to heal from the way they looked at me that night, as if I was already a failure. Then one day an invitation arrived. My sister was hosting a family reunion. Against my better judgment, I decided to go. The house hadn't changed, white siding, the smell of overcooked roast drifting from the kitchen. My mother greeted me with polite surprise as though she hadn't expected me to show up. My father's handshake was firm but cold. Conversation buzzed around the table, familiar and uneasy. I listened as my cousins spoke about promotions, mortgages, real jobs. My sister asked casually, "So what have you been up to?" I pulled out my phone and opened a photo. It was me standing on stage at the Game Awards holding the trophy for Best Indie Game. The room went quiet. "That's you?" my father asked, his voice suddenly small. "Yeah," I said, "that's my game. 10 million copies sold worldwide." My sister blinked, her mouth parting slightly. "You made that, I've seen it all over TikTok." I nodded, feeling the weight of years pressing against this moment. "I told you I was going to make something worth remembering. You laughed, you called me embarrassing, but I didn't stop. And now, this childish fantasy built a company, employs 20 people, and paid off my apartment in cash." The silence was deep, almost uncomfortable. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't gloat, I simply let the truth hang in the air. My mother's eyes softened, and for the first time she looked at me not with pity but with something closer to respect. "We were wrong," she said quietly. I didn't say, "I know, I didn't need to." Later, as I walked to my car, my father followed me outside. He stood there for a moment, hands in his pockets. "You proved me wrong," he said. I looked at him, remembering every word he'd said years ago. "I didn't do it to prove you wrong," I replied. "I did it because I couldn't live my life never trying." He nodded once slowly. I got in my car and drove away, the night air cool against my skin. Success hadn't erased the pain of rejection, it had transformed it. Every laugh, every insult, every dismissal had become fuel, and now I didn't need their approval. Because the truth is, the sweetest revenge isn't making them apologize, it's becoming undeniable. Do you want me to also write a *** shorter, even more intense version *** of this story, something under 500 words that hits harder, like a punch to the gut? That style works really well for Revenge Realm**.